Backfire, one of the most reputable electric skateboard brands, has been struggling to stand out in the entry-level e-skate market in the past few years. The Backfire G2 Black, though competent, was overshadowed by the likes of WowGo 2S Max and Meepo V4S in both ride experience and performance. So, at the end of 2022, Backfire tried again and released the Backfire Era 2, a $399 entry-level e-skate that plays a different game. Instead of trying to compete in power and range, Era 2 was designed to focus on portability, making it a better fit for urban commute or as a last-mile option. As usual, let's start with the build and specs. The highlight of the board is undoubtedly the slim and thin build quality and stealthy design. It really looks good, and going without an electronic enclosure at the bottom of the deck allows the board to have maximum ground clearance. However, this design also comes with a trade-off, which is a very stiff deck. In fact, the 38-inch maple and fiberglass deck has zero flex in it. We will talk about how this impacts the ride later. The Era 2 deck does have a mild concave that helps to secure your feet in place. We also noticed that instead of the usual 9.5-inch width, Backfire slimmed down the deck to make it 8.85 inches wide, further reducing its footprint. Thanks partly to that, the board weighs light at 16 pounds or 7.25 kilograms. This is lighter even when compared to some short boards. Inside the deck is a 5.0 amp-hour, 180 watt-hour LiPo battery pack that's hidden underneath the grip tape. This provides the board with a moderate range claim of 9 miles or 15 kilometers. During our test, our 150-pound rider managed to get 7 miles or 12 kilometers when riding fast. This is nowhere impressive and is considered low range on today's standard, but hey, let's not forget that this is a $399 board with sleek design. As for the ESC, Backfire uses a 10S Hobbywing ESC with a smart turn-on feature, which we really appreciate. The remote offers only 2 speed modes, which are Eco and Speed. It also comes with 1 turbo mode. Speaking of motors, Backfire Era 2 uses dual 400-watt hub motors, which is good enough for daily rides but doesn't scream power. Even the turbo mode is honestly just a fancy name for 4th and highest speed mode. The power is just modest. During our top speed test, we managed to hit exactly what Backfire advertised, which is 23 miles per hour or 38 kilometers per hour. As we all know, that's about the standard top speed for entry-level e-skates. The board also comes with standard 90mm urethane wheels, which aren't particularly interesting, but it's still a decent pair of wheels made of good quality and high rebound urethane. Last but not least, Backfire Era 2 went with the brand's proprietary 50-degree trucks, which are 8 inches in length. So that pretty much wraps the specs of the board. As you can see, this Backfire Era 2 did not try to outperform anyone in specs, but does that mean it also rides poorly? Let's get on the road and put this board to the test. As is the case with all Backfire boards, the acceleration of the Backfire Era 2 is very smooth. Going with 10S instead of 12S Hobbywing ESC also goes to show that power is not a priority here, and that shows on the ride. Acceleration is not powerful but quite gentle, and the braking is equally gentle and smooth. For context, most really strong hub boards use 500-watt motors, so while wattage alone doesn't tell a full story, the Era 2 felt a little bit underwhelming in terms of power when compared to other boards that we tested, like Meepo V4S and WowGo 2S Max. With that said, however, I can imagine beginners and casual riders preferring this exactly for its tameness and reduced risk of hurting themselves on a board too strong for them. The next important thing to consider is the ride feel, which brings us to the deck. The concave is nice and it secures our feet in place, but as expected, the stiff deck suffers when we ride through rough road conditions. Since the deck is thinner in width than normal e-skates, we felt very strong vibrations when cruising through poorly paved roads. As we have guessed, this is the kind of board made for a sidewalk. So if you have to ride on a poorly paved road, we highly recommend upgrading the wheels to 105mm cloud wheel donuts. It's the only way the ride can be bearable. On smooth roads, however, Backfire Era 2 not only rides smoothly, but it is also pretty fun to carve. Personally, if you're not upgrading to cloud wheels, we won't recommend riding the board any more than 5 miles or 8 kilometers, as your feet will probably be burning by that time. The trucks are stable enough to support 23 miles per hour top speed and are pretty responsive when it comes to doing turns. Obviously, swapping to branded trucks like the Paris or Caliber 2 will make the board both more responsive and fun to carve. But for a $399 board, we have no complaints. To summarize, the $399 Backfire Era 2 gave a decent riding experience on top of the sleek and polished look. Compared to other entry-level electric skateboards, the Era 2 is certainly not better in performance or even in ride feel. It is, however, easier to carry around. Backfire will even give you a free carrying bag to emphasize on the portability. And it's prettier, at least in our eyes. It's not often that we see Backfire sacrifice specs for looks, but the trade-off makes perfect sense to us on the Era 2. If you are looking for a last-mile commute to and from bus or train stations, portability and looks trumps power and top speed. Power and top speed are useless anyway when riding on city sidewalks inside the campus. Why let yourself be burdened by the extra weight of a bigger battery when you don't need the range, right? In short, if you are looking for a simple, portable, nice-looking board from a reputable brand at a very good price, Backfire Era 2 is a very, very good deal. Just don't expect to win any drag races or keep up in group rides. As always, if you are looking to buy a Backfire, or actually any e-skate, be sure to use our affiliated discount code with a link below. It will help you get a small monetary discount and helps us out too. You'll also be tagged as an Electric Skateboard HQ customer and probably be treated better. Ride safe, guys.